Welcome to the Car Care Nut channel. Today we'll be talking about the 2014 to 2019 Toyota Corolla. We'll talk about common problems, things to look for, and things to know about if you own one. So let's get started. In the engine category, we have a few oil leaks that are very common in these cars. First one is the front timing cover leak. Now this leak takes a little bit longer to show itself. It starts very little and gradually over time it grows into a big leak. The leak is very expensive to repair because it's a very tightly packed car. The engine is a little tight inside the car, so something to watch for. Another common leak, which is a pretty dangerous one because it could leak all the oil of the car very quickly, is the oil pressure switch. We've seen a few leak. They leak pretty bad. It's hard to miss it. So when you inspect one, or if you have one, periodically look underneath the car, make sure nothing is wet, especially by the oil filter housing. Also with the eco models with the variable lift system, we've seen a lot of issues, and these issues typically happen right around 100,000 miles. There is a big actuator that actuates that system. Again, that's meant for better fuel economy. If I were you, I would actually avoid the eco model. CVT transmissions, that's one that everybody asks about. Yes, this is the first year, 2014 is the first year that Toyota used CVT transmissions. A lot of people ask us all the time, are they reliable? Are they as horrible as Nissan? And the answer is, they're not. They're actually pretty reliable with a few exceptions. With good maintenance, I have good reason to believe these transmissions will be as reliable as the other normal Toyota transmissions where there's no issues at all. One thing about this transmission is the fluid. This uses a very special fluid. You cannot use any other fluid. The fluid is pretty expensive, and I see people at the dealership where I work daily. No, this transmission fluid is too expensive. I don't want to replace the fluid. Well, I'm here to tell you, you're asking for trouble at that point. Please consider replacing this fluid every 60,000 miles. I know the owner's manual will say otherwise, but if you want to have a CVT transmission in your Toyota Corolla without problems, replace the fluid every 60,000 with original Toyota fluid, not any other fluid, and you should have zero problems with this transmission, with a few exceptions. Let's talk about that a little bit more. Some 2014 models, especially the early build, they had some issues with the CVT transmission. It's unclear why these transmissions had these issues, but the rumor has it internally that there was some metal shavings from the manufacturing that were not cleaned out properly. Most of these cars, when they were newer, they had the issues and they were fixed under warranty. If you're looking at a 2014 with 50, 60, 100,000 miles, likely you don't have those problems. But it's something to know about. Typically the problem is you get a check engine light, transmission starts shifting abnormally, and really the only way to fix it is to replace the transmission. There was a recall on these transmissions. The recall was a software update. If the software update was not done, the transmission could develop a problem that required a replacement of the valve body, and that's, if it's not under that recall, it's a pretty expensive repair. But again, most of these were caught by the recall, they were covered by it, and you should have no issue. So if you're looking to buy one, make sure the recall was done. You should have no problems with the CVT. Really, most people are not aware that these Corollas also came with a regular automatic. It was only available on the L model, which is basically below the base model. Very few of those. It's the same transmission from the previous years, previous body style. Again, these are bulletproof, but if you're buying one of these, I would get the CVT, especially get it checked, take care of the fluid. That's how you get the better gas mileage in these cars. And this car also comes with a manual transmission, bulletproof. We've had zero problems with this transmission. So if you're buying one that's manual, go right for it. Don't worry about any problems with the transmission. On to body. Early build 2014 models had a problem with the door locks. The door locks all of a sudden would stop working. All kinds of other electrical abnormalities, but most importantly is the door locks. That's the first thing you'll notice. Again, this was limited to early builds. They had a problem with the body control ECU. It is an expensive repair. However, almost all of them were fixed early on because this was a production problem. So again, if the door locks work, you have no problem with that. And this only applies to a very small number of early 2014s. On the white cars, especially I believe the color is called super white, there was some paint issues, mismatched colors, or early corrosion. Toyota has a campaign on this. It's not a recall. Call your dealership, inquire about this, or if you're buying one, check the paint, make sure it's something you're okay with, because you might have significant variance between the color of the bumper and the body. Something to watch for. Another thing is, if you live in an area where road salt is used and rust is very common, it seems like we've seen early ones rust right behind the rear license plate. So if you're buying one, check that area, make sure it's not started rusting already. If you own one, make sure you periodically check it. It seems to start from the area where the license plate bolts. That area seems to corrode, it starts bubbling up. You don't really see it until you remove the license plate. Then you see a huge rust spot. So make sure you watch for that. Common problem with these cars, not really a problem with the car, it's just something you should be aware of. The Sport model, or the S model, they came with very tightly bolstered seats. They are really uncomfortable to your back, especially if you have back problems or if you're a bigger person like me. You sit in the seat for an hour is when you start feeling it. So, you know, you test drive the car at the dealership, half hour tops, you're all good, you don't feel anything, but then the next day you take that first long drive and all of a sudden you're sore. Make sure you focus on that seat. Make sure you're 100% comfortable with that seat, because I've seen a lot of people regret buying the car because of that seat. You buy the LE model, which has the regular non-bucket seat, they have zero problems and it's very comfortable. Something to watch for. Moving on to chassis, there's a couple items here. One of them is you hear a noise as you go into a sharp turn into a driveway or onto an uneven surface. You hear a big squeak or a rattle from the front, or sometimes it's even a loud clunk. This is a common problem on these cars. It's a lower control arm bushing. It's not really worn, it's more of an annoyance issue. If it was my personal car, I wouldn't replace it. I mean, how often do you turn super sharp into an uneven surface, like going up a driveway? It's a clunk, nothing is broken, the bushing is not torn. It's just an annoyance. You replace the control arm and it's fixed with an updated control arm. However, if it bothers you, this is a problem. If you're buying one, might as well check that. Why buy one that you know has an issue? Sport model, or the S model, also come equipped with 17-inch wheels, especially the upper trim ones. We've had some issues with them bending over potholes, so it's something you should watch for. And also the tires tend to be super noisy, the ride is super harsh. If you're not really into the look of them, which actually they look really good, I would buy the LE with the 16 or 15-inch wheels, because the car will be more comfortable and actually the tires would last longer. Moving on to electrical, and we have a few items here. First is, it is a super common problem on these cars, is your remote to lock and unlock the door stops working and your tire light comes on, and no matter what you do, check the pressures, do everything, it's still on. This is a very common problem. It's a receiver that works for both systems. It is located in the passenger side C-pillar behind the cover. Now, they just fail. There's no known reason or logical reason why they fail. It's just a common failure on these cars. Replacement of that part and reprogramming of the system is needed. It's a little expensive, but it's not impossible. If you own one of these cars and you have these problems, that's the issue. It's extremely common on all year ranges from 2014 all the way to 19. We've seen them. If you're buying one of these cars, make sure the remote works. Never buy one with remotes that don't work. Never buy one with a tire light that you don't know why it's on, because this could be the issue and it's going to add to your expenses. So why buy one that has a problem? Or at least negotiate the price in that case. And of course, like all newer Toyota models, we've had some radio issues, especially the higher trim radio with navigation. People often complain it's very slow to respond, it freezes, all kinds of these problems. Personally, I would not buy the navigation radio. It's just not worth it. The features it have are not great. It's just the extra expense and the annoyance. It seems like the base model radio is great. It's touch screen. It has great features, and we've had less problems with those than the navigation one. Most of the problems are resolved with an update or are problems with your phone. If you have any problems with the radio, the first thing you should do is delete the car from your phone. delete your phone from the car and reset the settings on the radio. Go to delete personal settings and then repair everything. That seems to fix most of the problems, but we've seen other problems that require an update or even replacement of the radio. So make sure you test the radio, and if you have one, be aware that there's an update that your dealership can do. It's not an expensive update. My dealership charges $36, so something to watch for and know about. And this next one is a surprise for most people. The headlight. The headlight unit, it's an LED headlight, beautiful looking one, awesome to drive at night with it. But be aware that these headlights are super expensive. So don't go buying one with a cracked headlight and say, I'll fix it for $100. Be careful, they're very expensive. You probably can buy used ones, but something to know for. These headlights are very expensive. And the last but not least, problems. People need to be aware that in 2017, with the facelift model, pre-collision, lane keep assist, and dynamic cruise control became standard on these cars. Now, this has brought a slew of problems to owners who don't even know that these systems are there and how they work. Be aware that the Toyota emblem in front of the hood, that is actually not an emblem. There's a very expensive radar sensor behind that emblem. Any tiny accident, that sensor is damaged, and it drives the cost of repairs super high. Personally, I would not buy one of these Corollas 2017 to 2019 that has been in a front accidents. We've had problem after problem, especially after accidents. These systems could reach a point where we tell you it will never work right again. This is how bad these things are. If it's not fixed 100% right, they will never work right. They will keep throwing error messages and sometimes even not working correctly as they should. So be careful with those systems. Another thing to know about is the lane keep assist. Most people don't know the 2017 to 19 Corollas, they have a camera mounted on the windshield behind the rear view mirror. Make sure that you're aware that that camera is there. Every time you replace that front windshield, you must install a Toyota original windshield. And that's, of course, expensive compared to an aftermarket. I personally have not had a bad experience with an aftermarket, but this is what Toyota recommends. You must install original windshield. Also, every time you replace that windshield, that camera has to be calibrated. Now, there's a lot of places that can calibrate it. I don't know about that. I work at a dealership. The calibration is expensive. So if you're doing this under your insurance, make sure you include that calibration in your quote. One more time about the pre-collision system and that radar sensor behind the emblem. Countless people have brought their car to the dealership. They either have a sticker or they have painted that emblem black, or around Christmas time they have some decoration in front of that sensor and now they have pre-collision warnings. That's the first place you should look. If your pre-collision stops working, go in the front, make sure nothing is obstructing that emblem, the Toyota emblem in the front. And here's a picture of that for reference again. People often ask, why do these cars have recall after recall after recall? Well, as of the day of this filming, there has been 3 recalls on this car that I know about. One of them is a transmission recall. It's a software update and a test. If there are other issues with the transmission, the valve body could be replaced or the whole transmission. It's very simple, nothing to worry about. If you're buying one with high miles though, make sure that recall has been done, because if it hasn't been done, damage to the transmission could be possible, and now it could be harder to get that covered under warranty. Another recent recall as the day of the filming of this video is the airbag. It's not an airbag replacement, it's an addition of a module. I cannot go into the details of this, but all I can say is if your car needs that recall, get it done as soon as possible. If you're buying one, make sure that recall is done. If it's not been done, make sure you get it done as soon as possible. The third and last recall that I'm aware of is a fuel pump recall. It's very simple. If it needs a recall, we're going to replace the fuel pump and have a nice day. Nothing to worry about. If the fuel pump dies, the car will shut off, of course. Tow it to the dealer, get the fuel pump replaced, have a nice day. This does not apply to all models though. Even the 3 recalls do not apply to all models. So give them a quick call to your local Toyota dealership. They'll tell you all the open recalls. People often ask what are the best years to buy. In my opinion, if you're not tech savvy or you don't like this extra added gizmos that break all the time, 2016 is the best years to buy. If you're a tech savvy person, you love the new technologies and everything, I would say 2017 to 2019 are obviously the best years to buy. Though two models that I would say to avoid if you can, absolutely avoid, the Corolla Echo. We have had nothing but problems with these. The gas mileage improvement is not worth it. I would just avoid them. And if you own one, I'm sorry to say this, but I hope you have a good extended warranty, because when that variable lift actuator fails, things are going to get pretty expensive. Another model to avoid is the early build 2014, and I will go on a limb and say avoid 2014s if you're shopping for a used one. That's the year that most of the problems were there. Most of them were fixed, yes, but why take a risk? Get a 15 or even better, a 16. I hope this video was helpful and informative for you. I hope you learned something new. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment below. If you have any questions, leave it down in the comments below, or you're welcome to email me at thecarcarenut@gmail.com. May the Lord bless you, and I wish you the best with your car. Have a wonderful day.